So, if you're a professional who's ever had to head to the Asia Pacific region, maybe for a 6-month contract, you definitely know the drill. Finding an extended stay place in a major hub like Hong Kong is, well, it's usually expensive, pretty complex, and often really rigid.
Exactly.
But right now, the ground beneath the feet of, business travelers, corporate teams, all those long-term residents in Hong Kong, it has completely shifted. I mean, almost overnight, one of the world's most high-priced cities has seen its long-term rental market just completely upended. It's suddenly a buyer's market, and it's being driven by, frankly, desperate hotels.
That's a perfect way to put it.
So today we are diving deep into this massive, and I mean rapid, transformation of extended stay accommodations. We're talking about anything longer than a few nights, that real sweet spot for business travel. Our mission here for you is to really understand this new competitive landscape. Who is fighting whom for your money? Why are prices suddenly dropping so sharply? And what does all of this mean for the reality of finding flexible, reliable housing in a global hub like Hong Kong?
Well, the core of this whole story is this dramatic collision. It's a clash between an unprecedented financial crisis on one side and some really necessary innovation on the other. For decades, I mean, if you needed a place in Hong Kong for weeks or months, you went to a service department. That was the product.
That was the only game in town, really.
It was. But now, traditional hotels, just reeling from a devastating loss of tourism, are pivoting so aggressively into that space. We're seeing a supply shock, a sudden flood of formerly vacant, heavily discounted rooms hitting the market. And these are rooms that were built for short-term stays, now looking for long-term tenants. They are absolutely trying to steal market share from the established players.
That sets a very dramatic scene. It sounds less like a market adjustment and more like, well, like an emergency restructuring. Okay, let's unpack this. What triggered this level of desperation? Was it just a slow period, or was the catalyst something much more profound?
Oh, it was profound. The catalyst was nothing short of an economic shockwave hitting the entire hospitality sector. The fundamental driver is the unprecedented, sudden, and total collapse of inbound tourism.
Not just a dip, then.
Not at all. This wasn't a seasonal thing. It was a fundamental shutdown of their core business model. It forced hotels to seek out any alternative revenue stream they could find, just to keep the lights on.
And the numbers must back that up.
The numbers are just stunning, and they really explain the intensity of this pricing war. In one period we looked at, visitor arrivals plummeted by an astonishing 97.2% year-on-year.
Wait, hold on. 97.2%.
97.2%. I mean, just think about that for a second. If you're running a massive hotel with huge fixed costs, staff, maintenance, utilities, and 97% of your revenue just vanishes overnight,
Yeah.
you're in a survival scenario.
That's not a business challenge. That's catastrophic. How does a business like a huge hotel complex even survive that kind of hit for an extended period?
They don't. Not unless they fundamentally change what they sell. See, unlike a service department operator who maybe has smaller buildings built for 6-month leases, a large hotel has massive fixed overheads. They have to pay them regardless.
The lights have to stay on, the staff has to be paid.
Exactly. So when that high-margin tourist revenue disappeared, their marginal cost to fill a room with a long-term tenant, even at a huge discount, became lower than the cost of just leaving it empty.
And that, combined with the relaxing of all those travel restrictions, the end of the hotel quarantine mandates, it creates this sudden, immense surplus of rooms.
An immense surplus.
These are the very same rooms that were being used as quarantine facilities, and then suddenly they're all empty. That creates this incredible pressure on hotels to fill capacity, maybe just to cover their basic operational costs.
Precisely. For these struggling hotel owners, pivoting into the long-stay market, offering monthly leases, it really is a lifeline. They're not waiting for the unpredictable return of international tourists anymore. They're looking to capture steady, reliable income from, locals or, more importantly for you, the business traveler.
Which brings us right to this new competitive landscape. The direct impact for you, the business traveler looking for that long-term stay, is that the competition for this finite pool of guests has just intensified dramatically.
It has.
It's a slugfest now between the big, empty hotels and the established service department operators. And their weapon of choice is price.
And this is where we see that aggressive pricing strategy really take hold. Hotels, because they're just selling surplus capacity, they're able to slash prices in ways that traditional service departments,
Well,
they often just can't match.
why not?
Service departments have their own cost structures. Their units are often larger, they're purpose-built with kitchens, so their underlying costs are just different. They're not operating with the same kind of desperation, for lack of a better word.
So the hotels are basically exploiting their own excess capacity, selling rooms at a marginal cost that at least contributes to covering those huge fixed expenses we talked about.
You've got it.
Right.
And that puts the traditional operators under enormous stress.
Yeah.
They're now dealing with a new, highly motivated competitor.
Right.
When a hotel offers a room that, okay, maybe it doesn't have a full kitchen, but it costs significantly less, and it includes all utilities and housekeeping, it becomes incredibly appealing to a cost-conscious tenant.
We saw this reflected in statements from industry leaders. Derek Sun Waikong, the managing director of Signature Homes, he highlighted just how aggressive this has become. He noted hotels are offering substantial discounts for extended stays, specifically mentioning these 14-day renewable packages.
And that 14-day renewable structure is so critical for flexibility. Well, if you're a consultant and your contract might extend or shrink, the ability to sign a 2-week lease and just keep renewing it offers a level of control that's far better than signing a rigid 6-month lease with huge penalties for leaving early. It makes the hotel offering much more attractive, even if the room itself is smaller.
So hotels have the capacity, they have the motive to undercut the market, and they've introduced flexibility. But this raises a huge operational question, and here's where it gets really interesting. How are these massive hotels, which are built for a daily check-in, check-out model, how are they managing this transition? They don't have the infrastructure for monthly leases and long-term tenant support.
That is the absolutely crucial missing piece. And it's why this shift isn't just about hotels deciding to change their minds. It needed a facilitator. And that's where these specialized co-living startups have stepped in as the bridge. We're talking specifically about companies like Dash Living.
Okay, so Dash Living provides the expertise that hotels, which are focused on, hospitality, just don't have for long-term residential management. Tell us more about what they actually do.
Well, Dash Living has been around since 2014. They manage over 1,300 units across Hong Kong and Singapore. Their portfolio covers co-living spaces, serviced apartments, and now hotel rooms.
So they were already in this space.
They already understood the mechanics of long-term stays, the legal side, the financial side, the resident support. So they were perfectly positioned to capitalize on this upheaval. They've seen a huge surge in opportunities since the tourism crisis began.
And their specific service is helping hotels transition their rooms into, profitable monthly lease models?
Exactly. They handle the operational details. For the hotels, partnering with Dash Living means these long leases become a viable strategy for survival because they don't have to retrain their entire staff or create a whole new legal department overnight.
So the hotel handles housekeeping, maintaining the room, and Dash Living handles the tenant relationship. What does that residential management infrastructure really involve? It can't just be printing a new lease.
Oh, it's far more complex. I mean, think about it. A traditional hotel team, they don't have the legal templates for 30-day tenancy rights. They don't have accounting systems for monthly recurring billing versus nightly charges. And perhaps most importantly, they don't have staff trained to deal with resident complaints or the unique communication rhythms of a monthly tenant.
That's a great point. A hotel guest wants a new towel. A long-term tenant needs to know where the laundry room is, how often deep cleaning happens, who to call if the internet goes down for hours. Very different needs.
Totally different. And Dash Living provides that established practice. They bring the expertise on lease management, resident support, and marketing aimed specifically at corporate and long-stay clients. It's an essential partnership that made this whole market transition possible at scale.
And it really grounds the discussion when we look at specific examples. We know several recognizable hotels are now deeply committed to this hybrid model through these partnerships.
Absolutely. The sources specifically mention properties like the Aberdeen by Ovolo and the Sheungwan by Ovolo. They're both actively implementing these monthly leasing programs, which signals that, established, even higher-end brands see this as their path forward.
And this is where you, the listener, really benefit from this market shock. Let's look at the concrete pricing. Take the Aberdeen, for instance. After its served time as a quarantine facility, it was renovated and converted.
And today, the Aberdeen is offering monthly leases that start at approximately HK $7,500.
Okay, so for our listeners, that's roughly, $966 a month?
About that, yes. For a fully serviced, centrally located room in Hong Kong, that is an eye-opening price point.
That is highly competitive for Hong Kong, especially with utilities included. So what's the compromise? What's the functional difference between that HK $7,500 hotel room and a traditional service department?
That's the vital trade-off. The price is incredible, but you're typically getting a smaller space, The source notes the entry-level room is about 215 square feet, and more importantly, you're likely sacrificing in-unit residential amenities.
Like a kitchen.
Exactly. The service department usually has a kitchenette, maybe small laundry facilities. The hotel as residence model often relies on communal laundry areas and, a mini fridge and a microwave. It's a space that prioritizes cost and flexibility over full residential functionality. Though it's important to note, their prices do vary. For premium units, they can still go up to HK $27,000 a month, so they are catering to different clients.
So if we connect this all back to the bigger picture, this reflects a seismic, maybe permanent change in the Hong Kong hospitality industry. It's an active step to diversify, stabilize the balance sheets, and secure revenue in a still challenging travel market.
And the benefit for you, the traveler, is clear. You have significantly more choice, vastly increased flexibility, and lower entry prices than before. The market power has shifted.
But there is that subtle but crucial shift. You're getting a hotel room that's operating as a long-stay residence, managed by a third party, not a space that was purpose-built from day one for someone living there for 6 months. The trade-off is functionality versus cost.
It is.
Okay, so to summarize the main takeaway here, a drastic drop in tourism fundamentally reshaped the long-stay market in Hong Kong. This crisis created fierce, price-based competition where hotels fought back using their huge room surplus and adopting these flexible monthly leasing models.
That's it.
And this was only really possible because specialized co-living partners like Dash Living stepped in to provide the essential infrastructure that hotels themselves just lacked. It's a complete restructuring of how and where you find a long-term place to live and work.
So what does this all mean for the future? Well, it means this market is now fundamentally dynamic. The old rules hotels for short-term, service departments for long-term, they've been proven obsolete. Flexibility and cost have permanently dethroned tradition.
A whole new playbook.
All new playbook. And this leaves us with a final provocative thought to consider. Given the success of these startups in converting hotel inventories into viable, long-term residences, will the future standard for an extended stay increasingly favor this hybrid hotel-as-residence model? Or will the price advantage just force traditional service departments to redesign their own units and pricing to survive? Permanently blurring the distinction between the two accommodation types, not just in Hong Kong, but worldwide. Something for you to mull over the next time you're looking for a comfortable, cost-effective place to live and work abroad.